Welcome back. In this clip, we'll talk about the instancer for the debris particles, and steps are going to be the same like the way we have already covered for the nParticle 1 with respect to the instancer 1. So now let's start creating the instancer 2. So for that, we are required to select some few polygon meshes or the polygon shell. So I'm going to use the same one that I've already used for nParticle 1. So let's select all of them from 1 to the 43. So we have approximately, I guess, the 19 number of polygon meshes, and I think so there are total 15, so not a problem. So let's go inside the FX menu, and inside the nParticles we have the instancer, and this time we have to be a little careful. Make sure that you are linking the particle object to instance with the debris shape, not with the nParticle shape one. Alright, and you can obviously pick for the allow for the all data types and hit the option create. Now the moment you create, you can see this is the very first piece of the shard which is now already instanced. So let's do one thing. Let's hide the instancer 1 for a while, and let's concentrate on the instancer 2. So if I play the timeline, you can see, yes, it's showing us with the first instancer, the first mesh of our list. Now let's start framing the statements. So inside the debris shape node, we can go inside the per particle and go to the general, and let's have your per particle attribute, and we have a type as a float. So let's go for the debris underscore, let's say, shape, or I think so it's a little confusing, debris underscore shape. Let's go for debris underscore geometry. Alright, now hit the option OK. So we can go inside the creation expressions, and we have the debris shape underscore geometry equals to the random number from 0 to the, let's say, 16. Alright, hit the option create. Now inside the instancer node, we can click the allow data type, and as for the object index, we can link this with the debris underscore geometry. And now if I play the timeline, now we must have some different particles, but yes, they are quite big in the size. Now let's start working upon their size. So let's select the debris particles, and let's move inside the general. Let's say we have the debris underscore scale. Now that's a good point that we are picking. We are using the particle name as a debris, and with respect to that, we can type anything which you want that correlates with the size. So you can have debris underscore size or debris underscore scale, whichever you prefer. Alright, now inside the debris scale, we can go for a runtime expression so that particle can have a different size during the time of their birth. So we have the debris shape dot debris underscore scale equals to, again, a random value, that is, let's say 0.1 comma let's say 0.05. Now this time I'm going for really very small particles, and then link this with the scale attribute with respect to the debris scale. Alright, now select this and close. So now if we play the timeline, we must have very small particles, and I think so let's do one thing. Let's reduce the opacity of the default particle so that we can actually see. Yes, we have the debris particle, and I think so they are way too much small. So let's increase this value, and that's the beauty of the expressions. You can completely customize. You can just get yourself back and change the settings whichever way you want. That's the beauty of working with the expressions. Alright, now I'm this time using 0.25 and 0.1, and I hope so this should give some more bigger size of the particles. And I guess so this is pretty much nice, not a problem. So I have just a little bit tweaked the expressions of nParticle 1. So instead of having the go inside the runtime before dynamics, instead of having the event type more than 3, I like to change the value to the 2. So the moment event is less than or at least equals to the 2, it will execute this particular script for 2 times. For the first time execution, if we have the float number value, let's say 12, so this particular for loop will replace this dollar number with the value of 12, and that means that yes, 12 is lesser than the 12 is bigger than the 0. So each time the number will be incremented. So that means at least 12 particles will get executed from one single particles. Alright, so this total count will run for 2 times at least. Alright, so now if I play, we must have some double amount of the particles, I guess. And yes, right now we have a lot of particles, so that's cool. If in case we still want to change the size of the particles, definitely we can do. Let's do one thing. Let's also unhide the instancer 1 so that we can compare with the size. And I think so now the size of instancer 1 seems to be quite small with respect to the instancer 2, although it's looking good. But so let's do one thing. Let's also increase the overall size of the instancer 1. That's not a problem. We can increase the size. So here is the nParticle shape1 dot my underscore scale. So instead of, let's say, 0.65, we have 0.85, and instead of 0.1, let's say we go for 0.35. Hit the edit, and let's do one thing. Let me also change the overall size. I think so 0.15 should be enough. Hit the edit. Alright, so now if we play the timeline, you can see now we have some better relations with respect to the size. So we have some very small particles, we have the big particles as well, not a problem. So now what we can do, we can definitely introduce the rotation inside the nParticle 2 or the debris particles. So for that we are required to use the attribute like spin or the speed, and the way we have created for the nParticle 1. Let's go inside the general, and let's say we have the debris underscore speed, right? And let's say we can go inside the runtime before dynamics, and we have the debris shape underscore speed equivalent to the magnitude of the velocity. That's pretty much nice. Create this. Now inside the general we can have another attribute, that is the debris underscore spin, right? Hit the OK, and in this case what we can do, we can simply write an expression debris shape dot debris underscore spin plus equals to the debris underscore speed multiplied by 4, or maybe 3.5, whichever way you want. Hit the option edit. Now link the rotation options over here for the debris shape 2 or for the debris particles. Click the rotation and link this with the debris underscore spin. Alright, so now if we play, you can see we have some nice rotations of the particles. Alright, and that's pretty much nice. I think so it would be a little difficult to observe, but let me play and see. And yes, there is some rotation. So let me do one thing. Let me just hide the particles, go inside the expression editor once again, pick by the name, and over here we have spin plus equals to, let me multiply the value with a 5.5. Alright, hit the option edit. Now let's play for one more time. Alright, so actually there was one problem. We just increase the value of the friction. So now I have dipped down the values of the friction, and let me do one more thing. Let me also increase the debris spin, since the particles are way too much small, so it's a little difficult to observe them. Let's multiply the speed with a value of, let's say, 8. Hit the edit, and now if we play the timeline, we must have some nice rotations. And here we go. Here we have some very nice rotations inside the secondary debris, or the secondary chunks of the particles. Now let's unhide the instance of 1. That's pretty nice. So with this, our effect is now complete. Now we are left with one more important thing, that is the dust particles. So that's all for this clip. See you in the next clip.